Good evening, and welcome to the first episode of House Beyond the Supernatural. We're an actual play podcast playing games such as Beyond the Supernatural, Rifts, and if there's any game you would like us to play, just leave us a message on our Facebook page. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and check out our Patreon page and give us a donation. It's up to you, so sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the House of ETS. This is GM Steven speaking, and tonight we have Arnie, Nick, and Kurt with us. Dustin could not make it, which is unfortunate, as this is the first night we'll be actually starting to get into our characters and getting a feeling for how they want to go with the game. It's late afternoon in downtown Seattle. The hustle and bustle of Seattleites moves about near the historic Pioneer Square under a light drizzle. A few modern-day buildings with newly paved sidewalks have been peppered in over the years with century-old red brick buildings and their uneven brick sidewalks out front. Many of the historic buildings have been restored into art galleries, offices, cafes, and shops. The sun has nearly set, transforming Seattle's oldest neighborhood into an entertainment district where night spots, sports bars, and rock-hard taverns are all starting to come to life. In the midst of all this is a small civic center building. Most of the building's offices and rooms have resisted modernizing. This includes a small room on the second floor where two of the walls have managed to keep its original red brick facade. The other two walls are modern drywalls with a layer of off-white office-friendly paint with various public service messages have been placed about them. Its aging wood floor creaks as a group gathers, collecting chairs from hanging racks and placing them in a circle. The smell of fresh coffee hangs in the air, drifting over a pot in the corner. The group of people gathering here carries a mixture of postures and attitudes. Some of them are here willingly. Some of them are mandated to be here for one reason or another. All of them are here for group therapy. The therapist of the group asks them one by one to share with the group why they're here and to share their experiences. The person currently speaking is James, a black man in his 60s with woolly white hair and beard and wearing a simple button-down shirt and black slacks, who is sharing his continuing bout with being a recovered alcoholic and is afraid he's going to fall off the wagon. Some of the group is familiar with James as he plays a saxophone for money on one of the street corners in Pioneer Square. In fact, his saxophone case lays next to his chair, meaning he'll likely be playing on a corner tonight once the meeting's over.
Music is my life, always has been. I love nothing more than playing my saxophone or my piano. I miss the days of being in a jazz band, and I would give my right eye to be back there playing on a stage again. But all that comes with the constant nag to drink. I love the drink just as much as the music. For a long time, they were inseparable to me. Keeping them apart and letting the drink go has been the hardest battles of my life. I'm a war veteran. I've been wounded in combat. I've killed for my country. I've faced down death many times in my life. But none of that has been as hard as it is keeping away from the drink. It's cost me nearly everything, and I'm scared that I'll lose what little I got left if I go back to it. But it's getting harder, being scared all the time while wanting it again. I keep trying to trick myself like a little voice that says it's okay to have a drink or two. It will take the edge off, bring back the happy days. That's why I'm here tonight. I need to hear a different voice for a change, telling me otherwise.
All right, Nick, this is your character is the one handling the group therapy session tonight. It probably would be the right setup for you to kind of explain what your character is.
I'm Nick. I'm playing Peter Corrigan. He's a parapsychologist and a psychologist. He runs a support group at the Civic Center near Pioneer Square. Peter, he's about 35, he's 5'5", so he's a little kind of short. He's about 170 pounds. He wears an all-black Brooks Brothers suit with a white shirt and black tie. Weird thing is, he's always wearing gloves. You'll never see him without a pair of gloves. So he looks kind of like the Crispin Glover character from Charlie's Angels.
I would like to say thank you, James, for sharing that with us tonight. If there's anybody else in the crowd that would like to share today, that would be great. I know there's a lot of you guys that want to talk today. If you would like, just come up and introduce yourself, who you are, what you want to talk about. All right. Anybody? I know there's a lot of people out here. Anybody want to talk?
And this is where one of the other two would start introducing their character.
Hi. I'm Cass Sarah Jeff. I see ghosts.
There is at least one or two slight titters that would go throughout the room from some of the from some of the group before they realize they're being rude and would cut it off quickly.
I was in the military and I was wounded in combat. And I had my first supernatural experience while in the hospital in Afghanistan. I've recently gotten out of the military, and now I've devoted my life to the supernatural and occult.
The room, most of the group doesn't seem to know how to respond to that.
What do you mean by the occult?
Like, I don't know, just secret societies, signs.
At least one or two of the heads in the room seem to look at one another, almost like, is he for real?
Yeah, man, it's really weird. They won't go away. They're just always in my head talking to me.
A few of those heads have now even looked over to your character, Nick. Almost kind of, they're almost kind of, is this guy for real?
Just remember, this is a safe place with no judgments. Everybody's allowed to speak. If they have something to say, they're allowed to say it.
I finally feel safe enough to come out and talk to you guys about this stuff.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. So please take a seat and let's have somebody else come up and talk. Thank you.
And here's where we have our another member of the group stands up.
Yeah, I'm John, and I've got a language disorder. I have difficulty speaking, especially when I'm under stress. So that's it.
Wow, that was brief. Thanks for coming out. Maybe next time it won't be so stressful.
This isn't stressful. Get out of my face.
And again, some of the group has a whole variety of different looks and puzzled looks, and not sure quite what to say.
What are you all looking at? This is supposed to be a support group, not an alienation group.
Why are you judging me?
One of the more hipster-looking guys in the group. I'm not judging you guys, man. It's just a little far out, okay? But you're right. This is this is a room of sanctuary here, man. I'm glad you found your courage to speak up, man. That was way cool. And you, I'm glad you found your courage to speak when it's so hard for you, man. That's cool.
I don't need your opinion. I need his opinion.
Hipster goes back to drinking his coffee quietly.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. It might make you guys more comfortable and willing to share. My name is Dr. Peter Corrigan. Went to the University of Washington. Got my degree in psychology. Grew up in a small town in Missouri. With weird things happened to me then. I used to have conversations with this invisible person from another universe. He would tell me all these crazy things about, like, other dimensions and what happens after we die and just weird stuff. One day he told me my parents were going to die. And a couple days later, car crash killed them both. I had to be raised in an orphanage. Nobody really wanted some broken kid, so I stayed until I was 18 and got accepted into college, and here I am, helping you guys.
Hipster raises his hand.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know we were supposed to start giving our life stories here, man. You want me to, do I have to do all this now, too? I
Then maybe
feel
you'll share
comfortable with you, man. You're telling it all. Letting it hang out. That's balls, man. in front of all these strangers, you're just telling it. I respect that, man. So, I can get you tickets to my next show, man. I'm in a band, you know, man.
What do you play?
He's like, I'm feeling slightly a negative vibe over from that general direction with that guy. I think his I just and since we're in Sanctuary, I just feel it's in my best interest to say it feels like, even though
I'm sorry.
I didn't judge your
I'm sorry.
I was
Sometimes the voices, they talk so fucking loud, and then I see your shirt and your coffee, and it just says to me, I'm sorry. You better go, man. I don't know if I can hold this back any longer. You're not court ordered here, are you? You can leave, right? Come on.
Maybe I should just go, man.
You better hurry.
Can somebody calm him down? It's gonna set me off, man. It's gonna set my PTSD off, man.
Hipster, yeah, he's standing up. He's grabbing his lumberjack shirt and and he's leaving. So it looks like the rest of your group starting to lose its control. One of the
He's so angry. What's going on?
you can't help but notice one of the people in the group has that's sitting close to him has moved and taken over the hipster's chair.
Everyone, I'm sorry about that. I'm just kidding. I just wanted that guy to leave.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Another party in the
Okay,
group.
man.
I'm finding that kind of offensive too now. This is supposed to be a sanctuary where we're all accepted equally on first name basis, right?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome.
Joe, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That was for the best. That guy was negative. He was bringing us down with his constant questions.
Eyeglasses and his white belt.
I think he had... You don't want to know, but I think everything will be much better now that guy's gone.
I'll admit his white belt might have been a little out there. I don't know. I kind of like the glasses. Oh yeah, I should probably say I'm here. I'm here because sometimes I like to take things, and I don't really feel comfortable saying anything more than that right now. No, I swear I don't want to take anything from you guys. It just just when I get stressed or sometimes I'm just bored and I take little things. I don't mean to, but I was told I should attend here and maybe get some help and some insight on why I am the way I am.
Sometimes, when I'm sad, I cut myself. A piece of cake!
So in the efforts of moving on to the next scene, because this is devolving weird, and we're gonna all the rest of the group except these two are gonna leave at this rate. I think that the average session probably doesn't go on more than a couple of hours at most. So we can fast forward through that. Unless you guys really have something else you want to get out of this, right? Before we.
If it's 2 hours long, I might take like a shit for an hour and a half. Without leaving your seat. No, I'm gonna leave.
I was about to ask.
I'm gonna go
actually.
downstairs, out the door, down the block to 7-Eleven, take a shit, and come back.
Today in group, Arn takes a shit.
Again.
I think we found our title for the episode.
Roll a d20 to determine the consistency.
Well, that'd be percentage dice. It is only 2% consistent. Maybe you should get that looked at.
33.
Any modifiers if I had Taco Bell? This is in no way a negative concept. Negative commentary on Taco Bell.
And we are not sponsored by Taco Bell.
Yeah, well, there went that sponsor.
Sorry, I just get so mean when I role play. I just don't understand.
Maybe you do need to attend an actual group therapy session, Arnie. Just throwing that out there.
Just always have to make mean people because they always end up being mean.
You do seem to have a trend. I mean, I get it. It does add character being mean and all, but
I'm just a really mean
Yeah, I would like those who don't know. He's really not quite this mean in person. So, should we ever become famous on this podcast and start attending like cons and whatnot, you can approach him and talk to him. He will not insult you. He will not insult you quite like his characters do. It's you're safe talking to him. I promise. I've known him since I was 4, on and off anyway. So yeah, we're gonna for the sake of having some group left, we're gonna fast forward this 2 hours of.
You were gonna talk about your time at the University of Washington.
Oh, I can certainly roll back on that if you feel like telling your tale.
We'll find it out later. We know about it anyway.
We know enough. Okay. Towards the end of the session, text messages come in on your phone, and the phone number is recognized as a Laszlo Society number.
I ignore it.
Gonna ignore it for now. All right, session ends. Now, session ends. Everyone, some people are putting away. Some people are kind enough to help put away chairs. The rest of them just kind of get up and some just get up and leave.
Walking out with a chair. It's mine.
I swear, I brought.
I swear.
I'll check it. I'm not running after that dude.
So between putting chairs away or what have you, you can have checking your message. It is specifically it's from Dr. Smythe, and he is asking you to give Dr. Edmund Smythe. Those who didn't check it, he is an NPC that commonly shows up in my game that the characters and probably all of you will get familiar with over time, and he is available in character sheet format on the houseofbts.net for those interested in knowing about it. But anyway, it's a message asking you to contact him when you have a moment.
I'll give him a call.
All right.
You put that chair down.
I'm sorry again. It's when I'm stressed and nervous, and this was a big step for me. I'm sorry. Here, I'm working on it. Just know I'm actively working on it. Okay. So he puts the chair down, and he exits the room.
Yeah.
I don't know if these two are still lingering for any particular reason or not, or if you made any notes say you want to talk to him about about what he's talking, because I don't know if you two we had talked about this, but I don't know if we ever officially made it a thing. Do you all? I think you Arnie's John and Peter. I think they've know each other, but I don't know about you two.
No, I don't exactly. This could be the very first time I meet anybody.
Okay, then that's how we're going to play it. One of the members of the group actually kind of pulls you aside to quietly talk in the corner of the room for a moment, because he's actually kind of interested in your information. He's like, tell me more about this ghost thing. I didn't want to say anything in the group there because they were getting some looks, but I'm a believer. What tell me more about it.
Yeah, it's Brett, right? Cass. Yeah, Cass. What's that all about?
For some reason, after I got injured, this guy comes to me every once in a while. And
did you ever dabble in the occult or anything like that?
Nothing.
How about your parents? Are they in anything weird?
I come from a long line of psychics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What part of the world is your family from?
I'm from a little island here in Washington.
Are you native?
No.
Oh.
So these two these three or in this case, it looks like as Peter and Cass and Brett are all having a discussion concerning his ghost experiences. Brett seems genuinely interested, if not a little too interested. As you're overhearing all this, you at least catching wind of what all the discussion is about. This gives you an opportunity to call Dr. Smythe. And even as quick as no sooner than the first ring that you hear goes through, he picks it up. This is Dr. Smythe.
Hey, Doc, it's Peter. Did you call me?
Hello. I know this is This is going to sound, I don't know, maybe aggressive's the right word or not, but I know we've not met before, but I was going through some of the paperwork here at the society, and you're a parapsychologist amongst other things, as I'm reading this, correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Well, I guess we can. I mean, we can speak. We can speak the same minds here, but I just attended a group with a group of sensitive psychics, and we were working on something of a mystic experiment, if you will. And some of them were blessed with several psychic flashes, and as you know, tonight being a full moon, it is common for grave ghoul situations. Or well, more specifically, grave ghouls are known to walk the cemetery, or just walk the earth on full moons, and most often they're found in cemeteries. And I believe we had enough psychic impressions that that several of them, or several of the nearby cemeteries, if their descriptions are correct, have. I'm trying to think of the right way of explaining this. Basically, the impressions that we believe we've got it narrowed down to 4 different cemeteries. And as the situation comes down to, I don't have enough people for the last cemetery that we believe that they're giving reference to. And I'm curious if you happen to have are you available? And if so, do you happen to have a team that could take a look in a cemetery for me?
Well, sir, I'm available right now, but I'm kind of wondering. I got a couple guys here that might be interested in helping out. Hey, guys, wait. Might need your help with something.
What's up, Peter?
You talk to spirits, right?
All the time.
What do you know about ghouls?
Ghouls, I love ghouls.
Ghouls, ghosts, demons. I'm new at this, so not a whole lot. Ghouls come out at night. Eat a lot of flesh.
Do you happen to have lore demon monster as one of your?
As it just so happens, I do.
Make a percentage roll on that. And add a plus 10% bonus to it because these are fairly common.
59.
And what is your
49.
So you're 10% over.
Yep.
They sound familiar, but honestly, you know nothing about them.
Okay.
Is how you can respond with that.
Mr. Babylon, can I ask you a question? You look like a guy who can handle himself. What, are you busy later?
I'm not.
This is just between us. Do you have any weapons available?
Holden?
Do you have any nearby?
Weed?
No, like guns. You kind of look like a gun owner.
Gonna knock over a bank? What are you talking about?
I got a situation I might need you guys' help with.
Jesus, what is your wife sleeping with somebody? What's going on? Is somebody key your car?
Okay, this is going to sound really weird, but there's a pack of dead people running around cemeteries around town. They're asking us to go check it out.
Right.
I'm in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, you've probably been training for this your whole life, right? As in everybody?
Yeah, I've been training for The Walking Dead my whole life.
You mean you guys have been planning for the zombie apocalypse as well?
You run this meeting, right? You're not just one of the patients who stood up and, grabbed the big chair.
Well, my credentials are posted on the wall if you want to look at them.
Yeah, let's go. Sure.
Hey, Doc. Looks like I got a couple guys here that are willing to help out.
All right, just so you know, more than likely, this particular cemetery, it may or there may not actually be anything there per se, but I have reason to believe, as mentioned, based on psychic impressions. So if you and your team are able, if you would, I have a warehouse that I would like you to go ahead and stop by and collect a few items that that you're probably going to want for this particular venture, and I'll give you the address and such. Think you can be there in say 45 to an hour?
Sure, Doc. Sounds good.
Perfect. Dr. Smythe gives you the address and pertinent information for you to get to the warehouse. I have some information I made for what I refer to as the Lazo Agency Seattle branch warehouse and office building. I don't think I've put this on the website yet, but eventually I will. So I'm just going to kind of do some quick reading as far as what this is about, because it's going to come up on occasion. All right, so for you guys, after getting yourself some Arby's, or whatever restaurant it is that you decide you want to stop at to eat. So yeah, powering up before a mission is certainly a smart way to go about it. But anyway, arriving, this office building is kind of in one of the industrial sections of the city, and from the front there are no notes or information or anything about it. Honestly, it's a building that you could drive right on by and not recognize. So yeah, probably not even realize it might even be there. So, but he says this is the address. And there is a really fancy looking Audi parked out in front of it. It looks like it can't be more than a year old.
Pull up to the door and honk.
All right, one of the moments later, one of the bay windows, or one of the bay doors of one of their, looks like there are three different bay shutters. One of the one closest to the stairs opens, and all right, a woman that looks like maybe late 20s, early 30s at best is opening, is currently opening that particular shutter for you guys. She is. Let's see. Honestly, she looks like maybe she almost looks like she could be a model. She's well dressed. She has like an obvious Italian descent look to her, with raven black hair and brown eyes. She has what commonly are known as librarian glasses. And even though, again, while she could have been a model, she still dresses conservatively. And she looks like her hair is. She almost kind of has a look like she's getting used to her hair growing longer, and she's not quite sure how to put it up yet. And she says, you're Peter?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Peter Corey.
Here, I'll go on in for the door over here. I'll go ahead and let Dr. Smythe know you're here. I know it's asking a lot of anybody, considering the problems of rules.
Can I ask you a quick question? What is this place, and where are we?
Oh, this is this is one of the Seattle branch. Basically, it's a warehouse that's operated by, more specifically by Dr. Edmund. Dr. Smythe, he runs this particular. I guess I'm not entirely. I'm going to let him explain that to you. He'll tell you more about it.
I've got a couple things I need to do with this lady. First of all, I want to use like ID undercover agents, or maybe detect concealment to check out if she's packing or if she has anything interesting under her clothing. So
let's start with ID agent.
All right. I got 9 out of 55.
That's which is an easy one. No, she does not look like that she has any sort of undercover attitude about her. She seems pretty open, not hiding really anything.
All right, then I'll use detect concealment to find out if she's carrying any weapons or anything like that. I got an 83 out of 45.
She would be hiding it incredibly well if she is, because again, while she's dressing conservatively, most of it's reasonably tight fitting.
All right, and now I'm going to use either surveillance or undercover ops to take a picture without anybody noticing of her face, as good of a picture as I can, and I can use my photography skill for that as well.
Go ahead and roll all of those and see how many successes we have.
Cool. So undercover ops, I've got a 75% chance. I rolled an 89. Okay, all right. No problem. Surveillance, I got a 65. I rolled a 64.
Success with 1% to spare.
Photography, I've got a 55. I rolled a 38.
Given 2 out of 3 will be a success.
All right.
You have caught the picture without her. Probably when she was talking with Peter, she does not catch on that you were taking photos of her.
Good. I'm done.
But yeah, all right. So going inside the office building. You've now entered the ground level. Probably just best to read some of this as opposed to straight explaining. This is a 3,700 foot plus square ground. This 3,700 square foot ground serves as the main storage area for this warehouse, or for the warehouse of the branch office. It is supported by three rows of columns within the center of the warehouse and has a loading dock at the front of the building. Since the warehouse is built on a small incline, the loading dock is elevated to accommodate any larger delivery truck, including tractor trailers. There are 2 bathrooms to the left of the roll-up doors of the loading docks under the stairs. 2 staircases allow entrance to the second floor, and an additional floor entry is located towards the rear on the right wall. Again, for those listening, eventually I'll have this thing put on the site, so you can just kind of look at the illustration to keep up with what we're talking about. This area also offers local Laszlo agents plenty of space to practice armed and unarmed combat. There is a workout. There's a small workout area. There is all of you notice there can't help but spot. There is a weight bench. There's a treadmill. There is a Bowflex machine. And towards the back, there looks to be a practice area for both archery and it looks like targets for shooting at to practice with. And on the other side of all of that, there is plenty of space for the library of books. There are several shelves that have been placed along the back wall that has all sorts of books in them. There's also sections where it looks like various equipment is being stored, some of them in locker spaces, some of them hanging up from various pegs, and it looks like a small workbench is located. It can be found there. And let's see here. And there is a van parked in the warehouse area. And let's see here. Looks like also in the back, looks like there is a large gun vault, or what looks like a gun vault, and it is currently closed. So yeah, getting back to the gal, she introduces herself. She says, "Yeah, I'm Kendra. I am Dr. Smythe's secretary and personal assistant as necessary." And yeah, he's currently upstairs, helping getting things prepped for you guys ahead of time. So if you just go ahead and head up the stairs. She explains if you go up the stairs and head to the back corner, there is a door. He usually leaves it open for people who aren't familiar. You should find him in the file room next door. Points the way, tells you, go ahead and help yourselves on up.
I want to make sure to memorize the license plate of the van. I'm going to take a good hard look at it.
All right, I'll have when you ask for that.
Maybe in a minute I'll pretend I'm texting and I'll be putting it in a note on my phone.
Fair enough. The second floor. This serves as the administrative floor of the Seattle branch Laszlo agency. The rooms on the second floor include a conference room, a break room, a file room, the executive manager's office, and a second executive office currently being used as the secretary's office. And as she promised, going upstairs, there is a door that's opened on the far end, and looks like you see looks like an elderly man walks from one side of the room to the other through your peripherals and carries on into another room. That must be who you're here for.
Hello, sir. You must be Dr. Smythe. I'm Dr. Peter Corrigan.
Says, hello, come on in. I'm just grabbing a couple of things and I'll be right with you. And once he grabs another file or two out of one of the various file cabinets, he offers out a hand to shake to each and every one of you. He says, again, I'm Dr. Smythe. I'm one of the leads in Seattle for the Laszlo agency. It's a privilege meeting all of you, and I appreciate you all coming out on such short notice. I was not expecting things to get suddenly so active.
Could you fill us in on what exactly is going on?
Actually, yeah, I'd be glad to. How much do any of the three of you know as far as how grave ghouls are?
I'm going to make a lore check.
In your case, cast that you're not familiar with them, you do not need to roll again.
Got it.
This is monster?
Yeah, Demon Monster Lord.
Yeah, I got it at 25. I rolled a 20.
All right. So you are familiar with them, perhaps even rolling a 20. You might have even dealt with one in your past. But taking the time to kind of explain to the two of you, I don't know, you probably Demon Monster Lord. I don't remember. Is that on your list? All right. John does not know anything about them. He says, "No, all right. Well, the long and short of it, grave ghouls. They are." Well, in a nutshell, they are grave-robbing demons. They are known for eating the flesh of the dead, and they are ugly, human-sized creatures that resemble walking skeletal corpses. But I do want this distinctly understood first off. They are not the Walking Dead. They are not zombies by any means. They are zombies. They enter our world from another dimension, and it is important to understand that distinction. That being said, again, they like to eat. They eat the corpses of the dead. And however, the situation that we run into with them, they do not like fresh meat. Generally, they prefer the bodies to at least be a couple of months old. And as I was explaining to Peter here earlier, I'm sorry, do you prefer Peter or Doctor? Or how should I address you?
Peter's fine, sir.
Then Peter it shall be. You can Edmund or Dr. Smythe. I'll answer to both. Well, one of the most interesting, and while we don't have any understanding or reason why, during the full moon, grave ghouls are they're just compelled to walk the surface. They do not bury or hide themselves in the earth as they're commonly known to do. They excel at tunneling themselves underground. Which is one of the ways how they find their prey. And again, for obvious reasons, cemeteries are one of their most common places to be found. And periodically, one of the things that that here at the Lazo Agency that we've come to realize is that if we don't periodically effectively go out and do like pest control situations, their numbers begin to swell and become bigger issues over time. So again, I was attending. I was having a meeting with some of the more psychic friends of the agency, and we were having a group session. Working, basically attempting precognitive senses, remote viewings, and what have you. And we came upon a few various snippets. One of which is at least one or two of the cemeteries in the area will have ghouls stalking them tonight, and I've parceled out into individual teams to handle other, to investigate and look into other sections or these other places. But frankly, I was out of manpower, and going over the files, Peter, I happened to come across yours. And again, it's short notice, I know, but I would like to send you three out to take a look. If all goes well, there will be nothing of interest out there. It'll just be a nice, quiet stroll through a cemetery in the middle of the night on a full moon. As intriguing as that sounds.
Hi, I'm John. I'm an average-looking man with an average build and an average height. I prefer plain, comfortable, and utilitarian clothing, like cargo pants, hooded sweatshirts. I've got brown eyes and short brown hair. Nothing remarkable. I like to wear dark sunglasses, and I seem to love hats. I've got a lot of different hats. Right now, I'm wearing a baseball cap, hanging low above my face. I just got to say here, sir, with respect, and you two people that I just met at a mental health support group, this is a little strange. And I am just waiting for me to find myself dressed in nothing but a robe, having given you my mother's social security card number and my savings, worshiping a golden phallus while drinking poison Kool-Aid, waiting for Xanax the alien to come and take us to Nirvana.
I guess I did not realize that this was something.
Who are you people? What is this place? Why do you have so many guns downstairs? I mean, is the FBI going to kick down the doors at any time soon? Am I in danger?
Oh, no, it's nothing of the sort. Are you familiar with the Lazo Society at all?
I may have read something in passing.
No, we're think of us, if you will, as a volunteer group, and well, I could explain everything all night, but as far as I guess paraphrasing for the sake of time,
volunteer, somebody's bankrolling this place. You got an arsenal down there.
I believe you give our little outfit a little too much credit. However, here I'll show you exactly what I'm referring to. He leads you all, Dr. Smythe, giving a quick inch. Looks like I left his character sheet at home. Go figure.
Oh!
Dr. Smythe is dressed in an outfit that more than likely cost more than everything all of you are wearing or carrying right now. Would be the way describing him. And he needs to use a cane.
Paid for with a many mothers' birthday credit card numbers. I'm sorry, just kidding. I'm out.
He requires a cane to walk. He looks to be in his 70s. He has to take his sweet time getting down the steps, which he apologizes for. But he states, working for the being a volunteer for the society as well as working for the agency, which is a completely different matter altogether. And I'll get more into the agency another time. But the important part is here. He takes you over to where the various shelves and cabinets and such are located, and he pulls out. I see trying to work with this crew is going to be a challenge in keeping our stuff together. He pulls out a couple of what looks like standard bulletproof vests of some sort, and he says, "You'll want to bring each of you. I encourage you each to wear one of these
For what?
For your safety, of course.
Why do I have to wear a bulletproof vest?
No one is.
What do the zombies have guns?
Look, excuse me. You're not required to wear it. Certainly, if you would rather go, if you'd rather go without protection. I prefer that anyone I send out into a dangerous field should have some sort of protection.
Well, I'm definitely going to wear one now. Do you have two?
Well, I have one for each of you, certainly. He hands you. After that, he opens a case and he hands each of you what looks almost something like somewhere between a knife and a shiv carved out of bone, maybe almost like a cow femur.
Whoa! What are you doing with that, man?
Perhaps you're not ready for this.
Thanks for the cool knife, bro.
He said, "Peter, maybe we should have a word in private."
Yes. Why are you getting so excited?
I'm waiting to do this since I had my awakening.
Get him a robe.
This is what I've been made for.
Sorry, Doc. I just met these guys tonight.
I understand.
You said bring some guys, so this is what I had.
Well, in my defense, I assume that you already had a team pre-assembled before tonight, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That being said, certainly, again, as you know, I'm asking you to do something that is potentially dangerous, and I would have hoped Peter would explain this, and we'll get into this more.
Is there a waiver or something?
It doesn't quite work that way. So anyway, as mentioned, grave ghouls, I am happy to report, again, basically these are going to be one of the most important weapons you could ask for are these shivs. Ghouls, unfortunately, they are impervious to most man-made weapons as we understand it, so bullets will not be of use to you, nor will most normal weaponry to you. However,
Jesus Christ, I'm not stabbing anybody!
these are...
Okay, alright, I'm just gonna take a step back here and just go. Just keep going. This is interesting.
Perhaps you should sit this one out. I'm growing rather concerned for you.
Who's the psychiatrist here, anyway? The people who question your fucking murder raid here, they have to leave? Don't worry about me. I'm a speck on the wall. I'm a fly in the fucking air, man. This is interesting. This is cool.
First off, son, I do want you to catch your breath, and I do need you to understand. Yes, but what I am asking you to do, it is dangerous work. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. Ghouls, grave ghouls. They are dangerous. They are supernatural beings. They are demons. What I'm asking you to do is to go out and deal with what's said not to exist, only that they do. Being as I unfortunately I didn't realize that you were new to all of this,
sir.
Everything.
Doctor, what are you a doctor in?
Oh, I am I'm a retired psychologist. I was a professor at the University of Washington.
A professor of what?
Oh, of history as well as psychology. I've since retired from all that, but I also do work part-time as a docere at the Seattle Museum of Natural History. I have been doing what I'm asking you to do for more than 40 years now, and yes, it's dangerous. I have lost the good use of both of my knees, as you can see, and I lost the good use of my heart. I have numerous scars that I would care not to show you.
I don't want to see them.
But my point is, this is dangerous work, and if you don't feel that you're prepared for this, certainly, I'll let you go with no hard feeling here.
No, I'm going to see this play out.
Then again, certainly, while you're not required to carry that vest,
can I put this on my blog?
It's my understanding that this is going to be confidential and kept secret.
If you do, I would recommend not using any particular names. Again, while everybody is welcome to get involved in the society.
Of course not. We wouldn't want anybody to have names.
Well, it's for their safety as well as potentially your own.
Is that a threat?
Sounds like what I did in the military.
But please, here, I reiterate, please take one of these vests and carry one of the shivs. You will need them.
I'll keep one of the vests, definitely. We'll just call me an observer at this point. Hey, is that a Duamish smoking urn?
That's rather astute of you. Yes, it is.
What part of the museum do you work at?
I work in the museum. I'm a docere.
Wait. You're Dr. Smythe, right?
That I am.
Did I read an article? Are you published, right? I've read something. It had to do with the natives of this area. Right?
Well, I've written numerous articles, but yes, some on the Native American Native American folklore. I've gone into in particular the Salish has become one of my areas of specialty. I've written numerous journals, both again for history and psychology. In psychology.
Oh, I'll have to check those out. Dr. Corrigan here, you wrote that thesis on like the Black Plague and fucking fairy tale shit from Europe, right?
Well, yes, I did. I wrote a paper on the Black Plague and the paranormal. How did you know about that?
I'm into your stuff. I looked you up before I came to your group, of course. I Google everybody. Except you. I don't know you. What's your name?
Sarah Jeff. There's a reason.
Is that one word?
No, it's two.
Like
there's
Madonna?
There's a reason you don't know anything about me.
Why is that, Cass?
If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Another threat. This is good. Maybe I should call somebody I know and tell them where I'm at. What cemetery are we going? Go ahead. We're cool. Let's roll. Let's roll.
Please continue, Doctor.
Dr. Smythe also takes the time to offer coffee, but you can't help but notice that he specifically looked at you two and did not kind of look toward, really towards this gentleman's direction when he was offering coffee.
I'm pretty sure you don't need any more coffee.
You probably need to switch to decaf there, John.
He hands you
I don't think I'd want to drink any liquids here anyway. Not at this point.
He hands you a physical file, and on the title of it is the Pacific Hill Cemetery. He says, "This is the place I'd like you to take a look at. It's not within city limits. It's a bit of a drive for you. So I recommend, if necessary, grab yourself coffee or drinks or what you need to beforehand. It's about a 45-minute to an hour drive, from where we're at here." Again, it should be fair to warn you, grave ghouls generally travel in groups. It's likely you'll encounter at least 3 or 4 at a time. As mentioned, weapons made out of bone will affect them, as well as anything, as well as fire. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like between the 3 of you, I don't necessarily know if any. Well, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say I'm pretty sure you two don't have psychic talents. I'm not so sure about it.
Just so happens that I am a psychic medium.
That's right. He comes from a long line of
I
psychics.
come from a long line of a psychic family.
Fascinating. I didn't know this. Perhaps once all this is over, I would love to have talk to you more in person about that.
I'd love to sit down and talk to you sometime, Doc.
Well, not putting the cart before the horse, time is wasting. Giving you both what advice he can and explains as far as how the cemetery works, where you're going. You're going to need to get there. It's located. Well, it's. There's no such thing as electricity out in this neighborhood. It is a historical. This location is now on the historic markers, or the. It is basically it's on the list of historical locations in the state of Washington. For the most part, for the last several decades, it's really been more of a dormant cemetery. But however, in recent years, there has been something of a resurgence of families wanting to be buried there. And perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself with this. This particular cemetery, it is one of the oldest cemeteries in the entire Pacific Northwest. It has, up until recently, really, it's had a look and a feel of being a forgotten place. I've been there, several times myself. It's been a while since, again, it was dormant until recently. But it's worth noting that this particular cemetery, it is composed of 25 separate but adjacent cemetery plots that are all clustered across about 20 acres of land. And really, frankly, it's a good reflection of the diversity of the early immigrant society that came through this area, over 100 years ago when it was all being built. The cemetery was predominantly used by coal and copper miners in its heyday. But again, it went dormant after as the mines and such closed, and and as people moved further and further into the cities and away from the countryside. Well, again, for the longest time, it remained dormant, but a lot of the names that are in this cemetery, as I understand it, I believe, if memory serves, there were more than 25 different ethnic groups that are represented in this particular cemetery, and, there's a lot of various movements and such that have gone on in recent years where there are some of the oldest names in the Pacific Northwest have felt that they wanted to start making use of the cemetery again and be buried amongst their kin, as it were. So it's actually started to see some activity again. And the problem with that is where you can find bodies being placed within the last few months, you can find grave ghouls during a full moon, and that is why I'm sending you that way. Stanky, like the leg.
I rode with somebody.
Car's back there.
I got a bulletproof vest.
And a bone chip. I
I did not accept a bone shift.
Oh, you didn't take the
I'm
bone
not
shift.
touching that. That's crazy.
We're carrying it for him.
It has a it'll have like a case, kind of like what I carry my dice in. Where you'll have like a handful of shifts in it.
Yeah, fancy case doesn't mean it's not a knife made out of bone.
Oh, I'm not. It doesn't change the fact that it's basically a bunch of cow femurs carved down into shiv-like knives. But the bottoms are all taped in athletic tape for grip and balance. So somebody put some time into it.
Is that blood?
Unless a human or immortal creature stab with it, you will not get you will not actually have bloodstains on supernatural or weapons that are used against the supernatural. Because there is no tangible evidence when when the supernatural is struck. Any blood or drool or slime or whatever else that they might have eventually evaporates into nothingness, as if it was never there. So you cannot have bloodstained weapons, at least unless you stab a.
Cut yourself.
All right, then you got a problem.
Stab yourself in the femoral artery or something by mistake. Just running around with some knife.
Well, you would.
In the middle of a graveyard, it's dark out.
I would.
Bumpy, there's stones.
I would like to.
You fall on your boat knife. It's dangerous.
I would like to point out with that particular note that I did do a little research on bone weaponry, as odd as that sounds. But bones that were used to be carved into weaponry and whatnot, as that's like an ancient old, that goes like back even before like the Bronze Age and whatnot, that, at one time, carved bone weaponry was a viable weapon for, a lot of caveman, back in the caveman days. And there is an inherent issue with bone in general, is that it does not hold its blade well. You generally have to constantly whittle and sharpen the thing down, and the problem with that is eventually it's going to whittle down into nothing. So periodically you'll have to start with a brand new bone to whittle and sculpt into a shiv, and it's also not entirely sharp enough that you really have to be kind of hacksawing your bone sawing yourself with that bone to be able to do any considerable damage with it. Yes. Usually like spear tips and things, yeah.
It was a dagger. Like a stake.
Pointed sticks or stakes. That was our weapon choice back in the day. A lot of cities on the coast and like Hawaiian Polynesian tribes and such. One of their favorite things was putting shark's teeth onto all their weapons. And one in particular, those who've seen the movie Moana, that big club that the guy carries, it's like a giant hook-looking thing. That they would actually like kind of sew on these shark teeth onto the outer edges of it, and apparently they were pretty sturdy weapons from what they said. And which is kind of a cool idea, but that's actually one of the pre-gens. I think Nick even played him when I did the intro game. One of the pre-gens I have is a Hawaiian native, and I think that was his weapon of choice. Was it was like a shark tooth, whatever I forget what it was called, but basically it's like a giant hook, club that had shark's teeth on it, and therefore it was also a naturally good grave ghoul weapon. Because of that. So yeah, bone weapons do not last long. They're not, they're not entirely sharp, but yeah, they're great for like, as you mentioned, like piercing techniques for as long as you can hold the point or the blade to it. And I think that's your history lesson on bone weaponry for the night. And since we got a little bit of time here for you guys to discuss, Dr. Smythe, states unfortunately he is not able to attend for this particular venture, but he's going to keep his cell phone nearby. So if you have questions or what have you, and he sent you off with the tangible folder file that he did ask you to bring, if at all possible, bring it all back in one piece if you can. and he wishes you all luck, especially looking over at John when he says this, and he states, be patient, be calm, but understand that yes, what I'm asking you to do is dangerous. And now the three of you are in the car. You can have a discussion on the way there, or we can take our way straight to it. Sounds like the three of you are in quiet contemplation in the car.
You can ride shotgun, all right.
So how long have you known this Dr. Smythe, Peter?
Today?
Today was the first time you've ever met him?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I have heard of him, but he's never contacted me before. I think apparently he just looked me up, saw that I was a parapsychologist, and called.
How that would have worked. Actually, this is a great segue into that. I probably should have. It might even been worth bringing this up a little bit before it got to this point. Maybe John wouldn't have spazzed so hard about this. Okay, he would have spazzed anyway.
Sounds like John's kind of.
But no, based the way to look at it. Is he? Now, the long and short of it, the Laszlo Agency itself, or getting ahead of myself, the Laszlo Society. www.lazlosociety.org, coincidentally. Those of you who don't have a book on you or have not looked on page 220 yet, there is an actual forum out there, lazlosociety.org. It is not as active as it used to be, but I think as source books and things start showing up, it'll start picking up in traffic again. And I am proud to say that I actually have, I was the first non-Palladium staff person to post post a subject on the forum, and I honestly I got really lucky with that because the book they sent me was apparently one of the forward or advanced copies. Usually when they go to a print company, they'll kind of have like a couple of advanced copies printed up so they can kind of look over and proofread and whatnot. And I guess because I pre-ordered this thing so early on, I was one of the first to get the book. And I was like, oh, sweet, lazlosociety.org. I'm checking this out. And I just kind of I think I posted kind of like somebody offering a reward for someone to clean out his house because he thinks it's haunted with entities. Just, something that was kind of like a classic BTS setup. And yeah, Wayne or somebody sent me a message and they were like, yeah, you're the first to post on this, just so you know. And we'd love to hear more about it. So, this is the coolest. And that was kind of one of my, that kind of led me to eventually writing freelance stuff with him. But anyway, it's a real website. Go check it out. It's a neat idea that we can go and visit. I've also heard people have visited this site thinking that it was all real and thought that everyone on there was a bunch of weird, demented folk that needed dimensional help, not realizing it was an RPG site or an RPG tool, which I find pretty hysterical because you read some of this stuff. Pretty much all of it's written in character. So you hear these guys talking about they're slaying vampires and werewolves and all the other stuff, and you can just imagine somebody not knowing what this site is reading these posts and they're like, holy crap, these people think this is real. So it's amusing. But anyway, the website is all part of the Laszlo Society. Is the public face of the Laszlo Agency. It is a place online where people are interested in the paranormal and strange phenomena can go and read about the latest reports, theories, and news bites on the subject. It's also where laymen, enthusiasts, amateur investigators, psychics, and the curious can share their own personal experiences and observations, report strange happenings and things they find suspicious, and chat with other like-minded individuals. And this is how I took it that Dr. Smythe came across your information, because anybody can sign up and become a member of the society, and you're encouraged to put in whatever information you have. Smythe, in a pinch, more than likely researched and looked for other parapsychologists that are in the society and local. And that is how, from the sounds of it, that's likely how he came across Peter's information. Realized, in a pinch, he's like, well, if he's a parapsychologist, he anticipated that you would have a group. And not realizing that it was, and not realizing that you do have one. It's just,
We got the band of misfits.
But misfits make wonderful paranormal investigators. We are the outcasts and misfits, that dare to believe.
When you're in trouble and have nowhere else to go, we're the B team.
Do we have to have you back at the institution at a certain time? Is there a curfew?
Good. He's got a free pass in and out. Just comes and goes.
He's at minimum security. He can come and go.
Leg bracelet on.
Mental facility halfway house.
They haven't figured out I'm gone yet.
As soon as they find that security guard stuffed in the drawer, they'll realize I'm missing.
With a spoon in his neck.
Yeah, great. Great.
I hardly even knew him.
So this is going to be a fun 45-minute drive.
Well then, so unless you have something else you want to bring up, perhaps.
2-year-old Nissan Pathfinder.
Oh, this is nice. It could blow up at any time.
And in the trunk, I'm assuming you got all your neat little paranormal toys and such as necessary.
3 extra suits.
All right, and in time, I know it's written in the parapsychologist info. They usually have a team, which you'll probably have like a tech guy. I think there's a second. I had to look in the book to be sure. But in time, you and I will have it figured out. Your basic parapsychology team. Besides these two, they're kind of like your personal assistants who don't really go into the field with you. So they'll kind of be in the background, but they're there for you to talk to and work with as needed. Or sometimes they'll contact you on putting them in the command center. Will be like, I need you to check the. I'm looking in the camera here. Get to the. Get to the dining room. It looks like I'm seeing things floating. Stuff like that is generally what your team will do for you. They'll man the command center and watch the videos and listen for EVPs and what have you. Allowing you guys do the more fun stuff. Take care of your light work, as it were.
So, we're what you call a wet works team?
What?
And it starts.
Sorry, that's military jargon.
All right, then. If there's no other questions or interesting banner to carry on with, we will move directly to the cemetery. Nestled into the woods and hills southeast of Seattle, your headlights shine on the Pacific Hill Cemetery sign. Following the gravel road, you turn into a small gravel parking lot next to the cemetery. You haven't seen a light post since turning onto this gravel road, and there's no lighting here of any sort. You will need your light sources to see anything out here. And I need you guys to make a perception roll for me, please. Let me hear your numbers. Add in your bonuses.
7.
Well, you two... both Peter and Cass, you can't help but notice while getting out of your vehicle, you are surprised to see a couple of cars and pickup trucks are in the parking lot. It is the middle of the night on a full moon in front of a graveyard that's all but dormant.
Gonna go check out the car.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check out the other car.
Could just be teenagers.
Naked, smoking some weed.
Who are they? What are we meeting somebody here?
Just be us 3.
Looking over the cars, each of them, they're on average, they're all at least 10 years old. And since you kind of already brought it up, no need to roll for it. Yes, you do find there is evidence of like high school decals and parking lot notes on all the vehicles.
I'll be snapping photos of the rear ends of all the vehicles with my phone.
Duly noted.
I'm not hiding it. I got my phone out. I'm filming this shit.
All right, so looking at the cemetery itself then, as it's adjacent to the parking lot, one of the oldest cemeteries in the Pacific Northwest, It has a look and feel of a forgotten place. As mentioned, there is a historical marker that talks about the 25 separate plots scattered across 20 acres that reflected the diversity of early immigrant society. And as a reminder, it also goes on to state how it was used predominantly by coal and copper miners in its heyday. Bordering the cemetery is an uneven cobbled wall standing anywhere from 5 to 5.5 feet tall in places. A set of iron gates attached to the cobbled wall provides the front entrance. Looking over the cobble walls, you can see lots of evergreens, western hemlocks, and several other types of trees that have quietly grown tall and large over the years. And more cobbled walls, tombstones, crypts, and other common cemetery sites can be seen from outside. Another perception roll for everyone, please.
18.
16.
The 18 has it. So, Peter, you notice also the iron gates sway ever so slightly in the wind. And taking a closer look in on that, aiming your light source, a padlock and a set of chains can be seen in the tall grass just inside the entrance.
I'm going to take the padlock and the chain and put it on my bag. You never know when you're going to need it.
All right, the padlock looks broken.
I'll put it back when we don't need it.
We're borrowing it, John. We're borrowing it.
What do you need a chain for?
Ghouls.
In case you go nuts.
Ghouls. I go nuts.
Then I'm going to run back to the...
John Babylon. Just so anybody knows, I'm at the cemetery with these people. Cass, Sarah, Jeff, and Peter Corrigan, and they're taking me into the cemetery. There's knives, and there's bulletproof vests, and now there's chains. Yeah. Oh, go on. This is awesome.
The appropriate skill for for what's basically again talking about earlier, we may have a type of skill that's meant to represent mobile technology since it hasn't been designed yet. I threw a paper out that kind of goes over grave ghoul information. All of its information, some sort, you can find in the book itself. So the group has some basic info here that they can use to look at. I just passed that out. Otherwise, you are now standing, at the iron gates of the cemetery. It is indeed truly dark out here. Stars are in the sky. It is a full moon above. Otherwise, lots of trees and such block a lot of your light source peripherals.
I'm going to go back to the car and get my stuff out.
What stuff specifically?
Well, let's see.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be too specific, but what stuff do you have in mind?
I'm gonna.
Well,
Cat,
funny. I was going to go back to the car to get my equipment too.
What equipment? Why does he have equipment in your car? What equipment?
I grabbed it from my car before we left.
I'm just going to
He
grab
had
some.
mentioned earlier he's been waiting for a moment like this his whole life, so it's not necessarily unreasonable that he had a to-go bag already in his vehicle, just waiting for an opportunity.
Survival training kicked in.
Perhaps, unbeknownst to them, perhaps more than likely you and your spirit guide have had this discussion that it would probably be wise to have one. Because someday you knew this was going to happen, and tonight is that night.
Watch out, everyone. Rage.
If you're ever in Japan, watch out.
So what kind of stuff you grabbing?
I'm grabbing a duffel bag. It's got a whole bunch of crap in it.
What's in that?
Well, let's see what I got in here.
Double
12-inch double. Yeah.
flashlight? Zombie flashlight?
24-ounce tube of KY jelly.
Check.
In my duffel bag, I got a pair of binoculars. Check.
So,
Magnifying
parents,
glass.
as I told everyone, I'll try to keep it PG-13. I have no control over
What
my...
do you need binoculars for in the middle of the night? You're not going to be able to see anything.
Just to have them. You never know when you're going to need them. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Sure.
And a magnifying glass. Check.
Right?
Magnifying glass for.
What if we gotta follow tracks? Clues.
What, in the dark? What do you look? Go on. Yeah, I get that.
Pen flashlight? Check. Pocket mirror? Check.
You're reflecting a lot of ambient light out here.
So, Peter, how are you feeling about inviting this gentleman this far?
He's very intimidating. I think I might let him go first.
I'm gonna go grab my duffel bag.
What'd you bring, Cass?
My duffel bag contains a large flashlight.
Good.
I put the bone shiv in there. I've got a digital camera, tape recorder with 2 tapes, pocket notebook with 4 pens. Yeah, that's about it.
I expected a head or machete or bazooka or something.
That's all I thought to probably bring with me in case.
Maybe you can't have those things like that anymore.
Because I can't haul a satellite TV in my bag or my television.
You got it on your phone, right?
I've got my smartphone. The smartphone. I also have a
my
smartphone.
keys. I got a lighter. I got my phone.
All right.
I got a Bic.
Well, it looks like it's going to be you and I taking care of any trouble here.
Okay, so if these guys haven't thought my character was weird enough, I'm going to put my helmet on. And as soon as I put my helmet on, Peter starts to change a little bit. He starts to stand more straight. His voice gets deeper and more confident. He's not the same Peter.
What is the helmet for, Peter? You're kind of like cracking me up with the helmet.
GM is asking, does it have a headlamp or anything on this, or?
Yes. He puts it on.
Is it
Then it
so
kinda
you
gives
don't
that
bang your
seal-
head against the wall?
Seal noise, like the air gets sucked out, and it seals itself.
I'm gonna hop over so I'm closer to you now. Jesus Christ. Fucking wild
Gee.
Bill. It puts lotion on its skin. That was a big fucking eyeball for a head.
So yes, he has an eyeball helmet. He sees through the pupil, right? And he hits a button on it, like he had one of his team members, the mechanic, like rig it up a little bit.
Now we officially decided we have a mechanical engineer type as one of his crew. All right,
Right.
we just now determined that.
Now you know. Who put a ring flash? It they use it in fashion photography where they get the ring in the pupils, right? What it is, it's just a LED light that's in a circle. So Peter's got one in his helmet, like around the iris or the pupil. So it just shoots light out and is like a flashlight.
Interesting.
But it doesn't go back in his eye.
I like it.
That's a sweet helmet.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's GM agrees. It's a cool sounding helmet.
It's fucking psychotic.
I think-
Why
I
are
think-
you wearing that?
I think we need to have this mechanic make one up for all of us.
Keep your eye open. That's what I would say.
And now there are puns?
He's always got his eye on you.
Well, what are you gonna pull out?
It's got a. God, I need something to say.
I feel like a big fucking worm on a little tiny hook. Something like that.
Well, Pete,
You feel
I
like a
think
little worm on a big effing hook is, I
think we
believe, what you were
figured out-
trying to say.
I think we
Well, I feel
figured
like a
out
big
who we were
worm.
going to. I think we figured out who we are going to sacrifice to the ghouls first.
He doesn't have a weapon, so you bait.
We'll use him.
Well, I can't do that because I want it to be safe. And you two, I guess.
I want. I
that
want
may
him to be
require
safe.
an alignment check, coincidentally.
I want him to be safe too. I was just kidding.
But you are going first.
The bullshit, I'm going first. You go first, Captain Eyeball.
You're the one who's been doubting this stuff the whole time. You go first.
You guys aren't gonna be behind me.
We may, or we may not.
GM begins rolling dice.
There is no I'm going in there first with you guys behind me.
Then I will go first.
Are you scared of the big bad
I'm
ghouls?
scared of you
Oh.
with your bone knife and you with your weird ass hat.
All right, I'm going to follow Peter through the gate. I'll follow behind.
Let's go find some ghouls for the creepy old man.
So just in case that the ghouls attack us from behind, they get John Babylon over here first.
I'm real worried about ghouls at this point.
Just remember, keep your eye open.
Cass, as these two are discussing his helmet, you're taking a look into the cemetery. There are several floating orb structures floating throughout the cemetery. Do you happen to have lore, ghosts, and entities?
I do.
Then make a roll for that, please. At 10%, because I think you already have that included in your character. Well, it doesn't matter how good your percentage roll was. Yeah, anything that's not a 98% or higher is always considered a failure with rolls. Sorry. They look familiar, but you can't put your finger on it right now.
I swear I've seen these guys before.
What guys? Us? We've met.
You don't see the orbs floating over there?
Oh my god, is he on medication?
I didn't ask.
Are you okay? Are you feeling lightheaded? Do you need to eat?
I'm all right, man. You don't see that over there. Am I the only one?
It's not a that.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a them.
those orbs.
The stars?
All right.
Hey, why don't you take us to them? We're right behind you.
All right, I'm gonna go investigate what the orbs are.
There are a couple of them floating lazily on their own close by, and as you approach them, they actually kind of start they get more active and spring to life, and kind of they actually float their way over to you and kind of start floating around you, almost like playful puppies, happy to see you. And as you'd mentioned, or seems to be the case, they do not seem to be seeing what you are seeing.
Hey. Puppy-like creatures.
Puppy-like
Acting
orbs.
puppy-like.
Yeah, talk to Peter about this. He
I'm going
may
to
know something.
I'm going to take out some ghost hunting equipment. See how much I remember about ghost hunting. I take out my K2 meter, see if I can pick up any residual electromagnetic frequency in the air.
There does seem to be sporadic numbers with your electromagnetic numbers. I guess you would say the needle will be moving up and down haphazardly, and it seems to be the closer you get to his personal being. While certainly everybody has their own, does produce their own level of electromagnetic, certainly not to the levels that this guy seems to be, showing up around his body, and certainly it wouldn't be so sporadically, watching the needles and the numbers move up and down so strangely. In fact, if anything, to you, they seem like they're happy to see you, and they just kind of playfully float around you. Ghost and entity lore.
69.
Out of what's your attribute?
55. So I mistake.
I'm going to go ahead and throw a bone at you on this one because these are the most common types, and the more he's describing, which also kind of gives credit to that he talks about that he sees ghosts. You happen to have lore, psionic, and paranormal.
Yes,
Roll on that as well.
Can I roll that?
Odd 5.
Actually, in this case, you already know. This is nothing. This is something you. Nothing you need. It's nothing you don't already know.
Got it.
But no, for Peter, this is a big deal because yes, everything he's describing not only does it sound like what he's giving reference to is poltergeist, But this seems to lend credence to his to him stating that he believes he is a psychic medium, because psychic mediums do attract poltergeists. Poltergeists are commonly listened to psychic mediums like playful puppies, and they will obey him to behave. Or he can ask them to do things like go to different parts, or just leave the place in general. He can get them to stop, harassing a family by asking him nicely. Basically, poltergeists absolutely love and are just naturally attracted to psychic mediums. And it seems like what he's talking about is, again, not only are these poltergeists that are around him, but it's giving, he may very well be a psychic medium after all. If you had doubts, this doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Being as you just met tonight, I wasn't sure if you were taking him at his word or if you were doubtful or not. But right now, between your rolls, or with that roll, especially with the odd 5, he's really, you're not really doubting. If you were that he was a medium, you were no longer. I don't know what Peter's experience is. Maybe this is the first medium you've met.
Considering, yes, it's the first psychic medium I've met that's actually real.
I'm certainly you've read about them, especially as you already carry the kits and whatnot. I mean, you would be with rolling of such a well-rolled number. You have obviously researched quite extensively mediums, but you've not met one in person.
I have a lot of fates.
And yes, there are certainly plenty of charlatans. There is no shortage of those. The excitement, the excitement of realizing, this guy's a bona fide medium. The excitement that is cut short as you're hearing what sounds like a couple of screams of terror coming from echoing from somewhere within the cemetery. But all right, so that again, this is the podcast for the House of BTS. This is Steve signing off.
This is Kirk.
You fuckers are crazy.
Apparently, this is Nick. Talk to you guys next week. Hey, everybody. That ends the first episode of House Beyond the Supernatural. If you would like to get a hold of us, email me at btspodcast@yahoo.com or on Twitter at Beyond the Super One. And if you like what you heard and would like to donate a little bit, go to patreon.com/housebts. Or check out our webpage at houseofbts.net. And also go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. That'll help us get more attention to our podcast, get our name out there. Everybody have a good night. See you next week.